All right, so I will start by asking some random things, and
Cool.
you just respond. You pick one.
Okay.
Yeah, of the two. So I'll start with Saturdays or Sundays.
Definitely Sunday.
Okay.
Definitely. Sunday morning.
I think we'll go to the details later. Okay. Small gig or big gig?
Small gig.
MCing or performing?
Both.
Both. Okay. Tea or coffee?
Depends
Or water?
on that one now depends on the time of the day.
Mm.
Depends on the time.
Or passion juice and gin?
Passion juice. Passion juice and gin any day.
Any day.
Any day.
Okay. So we can go straight into it. I want to ask you generally about your music. I'll start with music, random questions about your music.
Okay.
So how do you define yourself as an artist? Because there's what we've experienced, and there's probably another level to it as well. So yeah.
So I like to describe myself as a live music performer and composer. I feel like it creates a bigger box for me to exist in as an artist, because when I started out, some people took the rap and they were like, "Yeah, rapper Jemedari." And then the day I'm like, I want to experiment with things like jazz and I want to go different. They're like, "You're selling out." Meanwhile, I was writing. I was writing for myself. I was writing for singers. I have written actual songs. I was writing for other rappers. They will not admit it, but
Goes right.
but yes, it's fact only. So for me, it's been I've been existing in so many different boxes that for me it's just easier to say I'm a live musician.
Okay. So what's music to you?
To me, music is life. It's everything. It's the rhythm, it's birds when you wake up, it's footsteps, it's patterns that you pick during the day. Music literally defines sanity.
Okay. So if you were probably if you you existed in a different dimension from this one, and
From music or just
no, like
from
a parallel dimension to this one,
Yeah.
and you had the opportunity to choose a path for yourself. Do you what would you take?
in a different dimension, I am pretty sure I would probably be a surgeon. I like details. I like figuring out details. So cutting things up and putting things together. I like patterns.
That sounds dangerous.
So I would either be a surgeon or I would pick a physical craft. Yeah, I'd probably be one of those people who gets paid to sit in the middle of town and people watch me crochet.
Okay. All right. Let's maybe talk about some of your stuff from your catalog. Maybe Kaya. Yeah. Tell us something about that.
So Kaya was this album. So because I come from a hip hop background, we are naturalized to do things called mixtapes, where you do as many songs as you can, then mix them up together into whatever collection and float it as a body of work. But I have been trying as much as possible to do actual albums and think in terms of albums. And I did my very first album called Numero Uno in 2010. And then 2017, 7 years later, I did Kaya. So Kaya, for those who it's not obvious yet, I have Mijikenda roots. So Kaya represents the 9 shrines that house or home the 9 different communities that make up the Mijikenda. So every community has a shrine, and we call those shrine kayas. So when you hear people say kaya bombo, kaya fungo, kaya, they are talking about a kaya for a certain community. So the album Kaya was a collection of sounds that I put together as my second album. It was the first time I was experimenting with beats and instruments that are outside of conventional hip hop beats. And yeah, it was a dope album.
You had some work with Flag 42?
Yes. So at that time, I used to work with a studio called Flag 42, based right opposite the exit of Lavington Mall. So we were recording from someone's house. And Kaya was also, for me, Kaya was the biggest work of my life because it had all the collaborations that I was dreaming of at that particular time. Yeah.
All right. Who's your favorite artist to work with?
I don't know if he calls himself an artist anymore based on the fact that he does so many things, but my favorite artist to work with is Dana Seda.
Nice.
Reason being, Dan is a, like, his brain exists outside of his body. His brain has a whole life of its own. If you sit down with him, I remember the first time we were going to do a song. So I work pretty fast. My typical writing into recording session is if I go into the studio with a solid idea, I will have a song in under an hour. It's cool. It's easy. There's a hip hop mentality of churning as many things as possible. With the song that we did with Dana Seda, it took 3 weeks of meeting every day for us to come up with one song. And 90% of that time was him just rationalizing a lot of things that we took for granted, but he was putting voices to the theories. Like, don't master like this. When you sing like this, blah, 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 blah. If you say do, re, mi, and someone else says do, re, mi, there's a difference. And etc. So Dan was probably, up to now, I haven't met anyone who will surpass like his level of thinking as far as music is concerned.
Okay. That's nice. So suits and mics,
Yes. Suits
the
and mics.
idea and then the project.
Yes. So when I started performing live, one of the biggest gigs I think I ever did at that particular time was the Story Moja Hay Festival. Then, while at the Hay Festival, one of the guys in attendance liked my performances and gave me his business card, and I was supposed to go and call him up and go and perform at an India Christmas thing at the UN. So we went into the UN, and I was still a hip hop artist. So jeans, t-shirt, blah blah blah. We just showed up. Band guys dressed the way we were. We were dressed like musicians, and we were frozen. And the security guys were like, yeah, we don't care if you had an appointment, blah 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 blah. You are not dressed well enough to walk through this gate. And yeah, it took the intervention of so many people for us to go in and do our gig and come out. And then I was like, okay, fine. So, I mean, if that's the perception that some places have of us, then okay, let's do this thing called Suits and Mics. So I started an event called Suits and Mics. So the initial idea for Suits and Mics was all the performers have to be dressed up in suits, and we're going to perform live, and it's going to give a certain level of class to the performances. So I did Suits and Mics for some time, and then the idea was now to take all of those sounds curated by bands, etc., etc., and put them together into an album. And being the founder / Project X, I was like, okay, fine, this is going to be me as the first experiment. So I'm going to do a live recorded album, live instruments, and then put that sound together into what now became Suits and Mics, the EP.
Okay. So I get this general feeling that it took a while for you to actually come up with that. So I think I'll go back into pandemic, because between that period coming this way, there was so much going on for you, in your life, in your career, in your music, and things that you were working on at the time. What do you think was like the most difficult thing you had to deal with at that time?
Wow. Difficult thing to deal with pre-pandemic or into the pandemic?
Just getting into the pandemic.
So getting into the pandemic was. Please don't be shocked. One of my weird traits is that I'm honest to a fault. So we're going to speak from a point of honesty. Diving into the pandemic, when I'm not a musician, I work. I used to work, so they were not 9 to 5s, they were more like consultancies. So 2 of those consultancies came to an end just before the pandemic started. And then within the first month of the pandemic, nobody is working, nobody is doing any kind of stuff. And then at that particular time, I was also in a long-term relationship that came to an end at that particular time, like right into pandemic time. In the middle of all of that, I moved towns. So I moved from Nairobi to a town I grew up in as a baby called Nakuru. Yeah, so for me, the process of putting that music together also coincided with the fact that a lot of elements of my life were literally going to start from the beginning. So start looking for ways to earn a living again, start looking for a place to live, start looking for, new foundations in all areas. And I am glad to report that music was also the most healing part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see how, all this has come together, to work out for you. So I guess I'll just pick up from there. Where do you think, or where are you planning to go after this? Like with the music, with, everything that comes together to form who Jemedari is?
So everything for me, every art form needs an escalation to the next level. I feel that it's only natural to progress the growth in a certain way. I've done enough music. I have performed in so many places. For me, the next challenge is just to get out of my comfort zone. Out of my comfort zone means make music with more artists and different artists, perform in places I've not performed before, perform to new audiences, hopefully go on tour. Such a joy. I am looking forward to going on an actual tour, even if it's 2 venues. But yeah, going on tour and taking the music to other different platforms. So I'm looking at getting the music onto, advertisements, movies, trying to collaborate with as many people as possible.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're very critical of the local music industry. Very vocal about a lot of things. So what is that one thing that you can't get over every time you see that and you're like, wow, these guys are really clowns. You're one of them. Yeah.
Um, I feel like there's a lot of artists who intentionally do not think outside of the box. We exist in boxes that are created by our peers and practitioners within the industry. I can't speak for all artists, but let me speak for hip hop artists in general. We came from this era where we were taught you have to be very good at rapping, then you have to dress a certain way, then you have to create mixtapes. For example, there was an era where everybody was making mixtapes. Paka, you meet at an event,
You trade mixtapes.
you're trading mixtapes because there's nothing else anyone else is doing. Everybody has a mixtape, so it's Lenny Peako. You're trading. Nobody's thinking out of the box. As far as music and performances are concerned, nobody is willing to push themselves to perform outside of what is comfortable for them. So I believe in the year 2023, there shouldn't be an artist who shows up to a performance with a flash drive or beats and does a playback performance. So one of my biggest wars is some of the biggest names are still doing playback performances, and to me, I feel like it's a comfort zone, and it's also intentionally not wanting to put yourself in places where you can create more. And maybe just lack of vulnerability, because if you're creating and experimenting more, you're also in spaces where people can criticize your work and correct you or teach you. So to me, I feel like sticking to that box is also showing the industry that you're not open to learning new things.
You don't think it has something to do with the portability of a flash disk?
No, I mean, logistics is logistics, man. If you can carry a flash disk to a performance, but you and your boys arrive there in 10 cars, you guys can carry instruments. You can carry a band. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can carry a band, and if you're getting paid, if you're getting top dollar to step up on stage and do a playback performance, just take a few of that and curate something that will add value. Mziki siya uchoyo.
Okay, that's cool. Do you think showbiz helps the music along? There was this time when guys would like fly 2 blocks across to go perform. Random things like that. People getting married in glass boxes.
Oh yeah,
Stuff
yeah.
like you remember that,
yes,
yeah?
yes.
There was an artist who did that some time back,
Yeah,
and
true.
got matching tattoos and stuff. Do you think
know.
that used to help the industry? Because I feel like across the borders, that's what is taking their music a little further right now. Do you think maybe we need a little bit of that?
So for me, I think people become fans of what you expose them to. If you expose people to shock value, they become fans of shock value. So when they don't get that shock value, they get bored and they move on to the next thing. So I feel like priority should be the content. And I mean, if you're a musician, give us music, give us the music. The other things, most people won't really care about it. If you expose people to the shock value of, I can get a chopper from Lavington Mall to Cheche, then the day you come from Lavington Mall to Cheche in a Toyota 110, all your chopper fans because that's what they're fans of. They're just fans of the showbiz. They don't care what you're coming to do. They're waiting for the spectacle. So if you show people spectacle, they will be fans of the spectacle.
Yeah, that's cool. What is that one thing that, if you had an opportunity to do and you had unlimited resources to be able to do, especially around your music, would be the first thing that you'd think about doing?
You know how city council guys have public toilets where you pay 10 bob? And they're still clean toilets. They're not the best, but they get the job done. If I had unlimited resources and I needed to help musicians around the country, I would set up like they're called what? They're called portable loos. Yes, I would set up like portable studios where you could pay like 20 bob. Just walk in and record something. Because we have a lot of people who believe that Kenya's music is not so good, blah, 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 blah. But when you really dig into it, the biggest problem is content in terms of volume and accessibility. So for me, it would be like create a situation where as many artists as possible can create as much content as possible. If you have 1,000,000 songs, then there's a very high chance that there'll be a larger number of people listening to music that we have made, and there'd be a larger number of people willing to indulge and take that music to different platforms, etc.
Okay, that sounds good. I also have questions in regards to awards. Do you think they really help? Like this random thing that they've been setting up, Kenyan Oscars. I don't know.
Kenyan Oscars.
Yeah, things like that.
Kenyan Grammys.
Kenyan Grammys, random things like those. Do you think they would help the industry, or they need to be, thought through, broken down to be as contextual as possible? And what do you think maybe is the one thing that would come as a result of such a thing?
Well, let me answer it in reverse. Direct result is usually credibility. Artists just look for credibility. If I make my music here, but then there's a random award in Nigeria or in Ghana, and then I win an award, it cements my credibility as an artist that there's people out there. Problem becomes when you actually get on a flight and go to Ghana and find out that these awards are just being organized by a group of 5 friends living in an SQ. and then the award doesn't make sense. Yeah, but awards are necessary, also depending on the credibility of the awards themselves. My argument with the Grammy thing is, if we are global artists and we have global awards, then there's a lot of credibility. But if you start splitting the awards, they stop becoming global and then they start becoming regional, then you take away the credibility of the guy who probably right now is blowing up in the US or Europe, because you're limiting that person. Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about touring, like locally. I see, besides media being the ones that, are the biggest promoters for artists, you find that very few artists can go to Nakuru and possibly put up a show.
Yes.
What do you think is the problem?
Fear. Especially in mainstream music in Kenya is driven off of hype. And usually the hype is not centered around content. It is centered around the spectacle. Problem is the spectacle is centered around the media that carries the spectacle. So it becomes a situation where an artist from Nairobi, for example, is scared to go to Bungoma. Scared. The only reason they are scared is because the people in Bungoma do not recognize them. And the artists are scared because to them the priority is the recognition, as compared to another artist who would say, I am going to Bungoma because I need a new audience. I need to win over a new demographic of people. Other guys would just be like, hey, maze, uko sijulikani, so I won't go.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna go through your questions. I have a few here. If you still have a question, you can just pass it forward, and then quick fire. So there's someone here who says kazi safi sana kaka.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
And then someone else also. So proud of your authentic self. Years on, hisia zangu. Loves you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, man.
So what was the journey like when making Suits and Mics? I think
I sort of touched on that, but yeah, for me the Suits and Mics journey was 3 or 4 months of constant waking up and going to the studio. Literally, even when I have no ideas left, just waking up and going to the studio and just chilling. I have been blessed by my forefathers.
not good.
My forefathers were hardworking enough and fortunate enough to ensure that the studio is about 20 feet from my bedroom. So
Nice.
I just wake up and go.
Nice.
And it's just staying in that space until a gem that I copied from Dana Seda. I'll keep bringing up Dana Seda because he was instrumental in the making of this project somehow. Creativity is a muscle. A lot of people do not treat creativity like a muscle, but creativity is a muscle. If you write or you paint, at the end of the day, we are humans and our brains operate on routine. That's why we wake up and sleep, etc., etc. If you tell yourself that every day between 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I have to write a song, and you do that consistently, over time, your brain starts to operate within those limits. And you find yourself being able to write faster, create within a short time. It's just a process that happens. So for me, it was a question of, I'm going to the studio and I have to create something every day. No matter how big, no matter how small, but I'll create something. And after some time, Suits and Mics sort of took shape.
Dopeness.
Yeah.
This was always gonna come up. Are you currently in a relationship?
Yes, I am.
And then when are we getting another album?
When are we getting another album? If my forefathers and if my forefathers bless me with as much creativity as they did when I was doing Suits and Mics, I don't want to get to the end of November without another album. Yeah. So we'll probably be doing a launch of something in November. I've let the cat out of the bag, so
we're gonna hold you to that.
November it is.
Yeah.
November it is.
Someone has asked here, who are you in the first story?
Oh, in the first story of Neema and Neema meets Carissa. I believe in all those stories. I believe we relate to different aspects of it.
Is that you saying you are the innocent bystander?
I could be the shopkeeper who sees them walking around together, holding hands.
You wouldn't know if he had passion juice and gin,
Maybe I'm his best friend. And he tells me everything. But in all honesty, there have been points in my life where I have really been the Carissa.
Okay. So uko na mtu. Oh, again, it was always gonna come up. Oh, clarification. Mko na watu. Like
Tuko na-
all of you.
Tuko na watu. Tuko na watu.
And then can they get an autograph from Kidawa?
Kidawa, where's Kidawa? I think Kidawa is open to autographs. Yes, tuko na watu. Life has to progress to a certain level of maturity, depending on what your priorities are. And based off of my upbringing and how I've been raised, family is very big to me. I am looking forward very much to starting my own.
Great.
Kidawa is still our last born. We are not letting her date until. Also, the you've seen. I think you've seen a young gentleman who was seated right there, and another one running, very tiny, cute guy in a dungaree. Those are Mwema's sons. Yeah, you can see the resemblance. You can see the resemblance. So yes, tuko na watu.
Okay.
Apart from Kidawa, but.
I take all these together. So how do you handle creative blocks? What are you afraid of? What inspires you the most? What next in terms of your music career? Yeah, those four.
How do I handle creative block? I have learned over time that the biggest way to overcome creative block is to take away the pressure and walk away from whatever you're trying to create, even if it's for a short while. So if I'm trying to write music and I can't come up with great ideas, go swim, go for a walk, go ride a bike, go travel. That part of your brain that lets you complete things will keep reminding you that there's something pending. And over time, you'll get back to the creativity of it.
Again, what are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of? It sounds very cliche, but my biggest fear is failure. I'm just afraid of not being successful at things. So I try to do as many things as I can with my existence so that at the end of the day, I have a score sheet of fails and successes, and the successes are more. So, I tackle failure by doing something new.
Okay. What inspires you the most?
Life, everything. Like right now, I think I have a song about you guys and today. Inspiring.
Okay.
I get inspiration from everywhere and every day.
We've tackled what next and how you define your music. So let's just finish with this. When do you write? What time, since you're a busy artist?
When do I write? Literally all the time. I have a sticky pad app that is always open on my laptop. I always walk around with this notebook. I always write notes on my phone. I have sticky notes in the kitchen. I write literally all the time. Every idea it's a good idea. There's no bad ideas. A lot of songs come from ideas that you put together and then you shelf it for a while, and then after some time you encounter something and then it makes you relate to that older thing that you wrote, and then you just come and put those ideas together. So pretty much writing all the time.
Thank you very much, Jemedari. So you guys, you can find this podcast together with a bunch of others on Spotify. Just search for Cheche Pod. And give it up for Jemedari.